Welcome to the Hills to Ripples podcast with the crew of Harnessed Adrenaline. Harnessed Adrenaline's mission is promoting outdoor recreation through education, conservation, and advocacy. We hope this podcast allows you the opportunity to learn about hunting, fishing, and any other outdoor recreation activity.
Welcome to another episode of Hills to Ripples podcast, season 1, episode 12. We, of course, as always, have CJ, the master behind Harnessed Adrenaline. And, of course, myself, Nicholas, is on here. But we have an absolutely amazing special guest, and I'm truly honored that he took the time with us today. The man, the myth, the legend, the Shed King, the big boss, the head turkey, whatever you want to call him. Eric Chesser is on here with us.
What's going on, folks? Yeah, thanks for having me on here, dude. I'm just over at my sister's right now. We've been chilling at the pool.
Oh, nice. That's the way to do it right there.
It's summertime, baby. Got to soak it up while it lasts.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm sure it's hot out there by you too. So
Yeah, Salt Lake's been a scorcher lately. High 90s, like 90s every day lately.
no way. I couldn't do that, man. I've been complaining and it's probably only like high 70s here.
Oh, that's perfect, man. That's the only bad thing about Salt Lake is we don't get enough of that. You know, it goes from like spring and snow flurries to like it gets so hot. But those evenings when it's like 70 in the day and 60s at night, the sun's going down, those are barbecue weather.
Yep, exactly.
I miss that. I miss that. I wasn't even home to enjoy it. I've been gone so much.
Yeah, you're a busy man. I mean, that's no doubt, but you have all the awesome adventures, so we get to live through all your adventures, everything we see on Instagram and on the Hush YouTube channel. I mean, it always makes me smile when you get to do something awesome like that.
Yeah, it's been fun. Every year I kind of think, man, I'm going to travel a little less this year. But I'm such a yes guy. Like when I get invited to do cool stuff with cool people, I'm just like, yep, going.
Awesome. Well, main things, obviously, we got to hunt together last year. It was an amazing trip for me, something that I know I hope my soul remembers forever, but I know I will be talking about it at least the rest of my life. That's the trip bull hunt, and anyone that hasn't seen that has to check it out on the Hush YouTube channel. Absolutely amazing. I just wanted to kind of get your input on it, what you thought about the entire experience, and what you took from it, and maybe what was your most enjoyable moment. I mean, knocking down 3 bulls with your best friends is pretty hard to beat, but I didn't know if there was something that specifically stood out to you about that hunt and what we were able to accomplish.
Well, I'll give the audience kind of a quick rundown of what the trip bull hunt is, and then we can go into all the fun stuff. But each year, you got to start to map out your season and make your plans on what tags you're going to hunt and which states you're going to apply for. Me personally, because most applications are taken during the spring months, I'm just like super focused on shed hunting. It's very common, more common than not, for me to completely forget to apply in other states and build points. Like I'm the absolute worst. Like I'm the perfect candidate for someone who should be hiring one of these services that will apply for you, because I just simply miss it and forget. It's not on my mind. It's not important at the time because I'm so focused on antlers. So this last year, Jordan Harbertson, one of my best friends, he's from Mountain Ops. A lot of the guys listening, I'm sure, will know who he is. We haven't had a chance to do like a friend hunt for quite a while, multiple years. The last one we had done, I think, was 3 seasons ago, and that was a Coos deer hunt in Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Killer good time, backcountry hunt. I always like to do these hunts with Jordan where they're tough. We backpack in or we do some type of hunt that's challenging. And this year, just based off what he had for points and what I had for any points, and we obviously didn't plan ahead, Colorado OTC rifle hunt is kind of where we landed. And I didn't, going into the hunt, I've been in this specific unit in years previous, focused on the mule deer hunt, and I'd say every other year that I've gone out there hunting mule deer, I would see like decent bulls, for especially for an over the counter type of tag.
Mm-hmm.
So this year I was like, all right, but I've always gone to the third season hunt with the intent of focusing on mule deer and not letting the elk take away from my mule deer hunt. But if I would sometimes get a tag, so just in case I saw a big one, I'd shoot one. But every year I got the tag, I would never see a big bull. Every year I didn't get the tag, I would never see like something I'd want to take the time and energy to go after and pursue. So I was like, man, these last couple years I did what I called 5 for 5. I was lucky enough to get 5 elk tags in 5 states. So the last 2 years I've been lucky enough to do the same 5 states, but different hunts. Some hunts being the same, but usually 3 out of the 5 were same state, but maybe a different weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, going into this year, I knew I'd have the tag, and I knew Jordan was going to have the tag, and we were going to focus on elk. But on our way out there, I decided while I was getting some paperwork done at the Fish and Game office and printing out my licenses and just making sure everything was dialed, we decided to buy Matty Ice a tag. So Matt is one of the camera guys, one of the content managers at Hush, and he was going to be the one who was going to be filming me. And I remember telling him, like, Matt, you should get a tag for backup because, this time of the year, mid-November-ish, if you see a bull, you typically see more than one.
Yep.
So Matt's always down for a good time. So I didn't have to talk him into it. He's like, heck yeah, I'll get a tag. But, we'll focus on you and Jordan. So that's kind of the game plan going into the hunt. But, as we get into more details, this hunt is just proof that, like, you can't predict what's going to happen on any given hunt, anytime, ever.
Yeah, no
Because I
kidding.
don't think any of us, like, even though we joked about it throughout the hunt that we could possibly kill 3 bulls at one single time, that wasn't, that really wasn't the game plan. We were going to shoot any legal bull we could see, which we did. Matt and I both shot on legal bulls, I think 2 days before that, and missed. So,
Yep.
yeah. I don't know. How do you want to roll out the story? I'll let you ask some questions and we'll kind of go one by one.
Yeah, absolutely. Just my takeaway from that whole experience is just the time on the mountain with people that I can truly consider legends, and Matt is definitely on his way to being that level with you guys. He just puts in work constantly. We can see it from every time he's out there with you shed hunting to all the hunts, being just like you said, willing to jump into anything. But I think the biggest thing that I took away from that experience was just how you personally just completely dive in, and the direction that you try to focus when you have a focus as far as the onX and looking at roads and everything from start to finish. That's definitely changed my outlook. onX is an absolutely wonderful tool, and piling in information now, even in the shed country that I go into, just from a little bit of information from you as far as what you do and what you look for, has definitely changed the way I look at some of the areas, and how I want to start hitting that country and how I want to hunt going forward. It was such a huge learning opportunity for me to understand, it's great to absolutely go out and scout, absolutely, but if you don't have the time, there are tools that are out there for you to have a ton of information, and it can be right at your keyboard or right on your phone. That to me was just absolutely amazing. So kind of, what was your biggest takeaway of that hunt? I know hunting with 2 of your best friends and Jordan being probably one of your best friends, high up on the list, and him not having hunted for a few years. And, I know that was a great moment for both of you. He said it continuously, which I appreciate the brotherhood that you guys have.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what would you say is your biggest takeaway from that hunt?
The biggest takeaway, number one, is kind of almost not even hunting related. Obviously, hunting is is what pulled this group, including yourself, together on the mountain. But Jordan says it best at the end, you know, how finding your tribe, finding your people that you surround yourself with is so key. And me and Jordan have been best friends for a long time, and we've helped each other both through like some like really crappy times in life. So I would just say that like even guys like Jordan, you know, he's done really well with selling his business. Myself, you know, reached some level of success doing this hunting stuff. At the end of the day, like we're all humans. We all
Mm-hmm.
need connection. We all go through bad times. We all have bad days, bad moments, bad periods in our life. And I think the biggest takeaway is like it's so important who you surround yourself with. And you know, you shared some comments and stuff with us on the mountain, more so Jordan than myself. But through doing this content, I've found that like there's one quote that Casey Neistat said on one of his vlogs. So Casey Neistat is a YouTuber now. He's a filmmaker is what he is. But he kind of left the filmmaking industry, at least if I understand it correctly. He kind of was a filmmaker but started doing daily vlogs.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people at the time, like, you know, they poke fun at that, like, oh, you're doing YouTube, it's, you know, it's not super cinematic. I mean, this guy's vlogs were unreal. But I just remember something that he said on a vlog, which I watch a lot of channels that inspire me to grow my art of vlogging and my art of filming and editing and all that. But he said people don't come to YouTube just for entertainment anymore, they come for relationships.
Yeah.
I've always like that struck me, dude. Like that hit me so hard that, you know, people are building relationships through social media and content. It's just wild to like in my like that hunt from my perspective is just me doing my world, right? But like what I took away was like I was trying to see it from your point of view. And that's what I'm just like, dude, life is crazy, you know, like you never know who you're gonna meet, you never know like who you can impact positively or negatively, really. But I remember just trying to think, like, because you were up there, dude, so happy. Like, you just kept saying how grateful you were to, like, be a part of such an epic hunt, which it was, dude. Like, one in a million, and to capture it all on film. And you just made some comments, like, it was really cool to sit back and, like, watch you guys as friends communicate, have fun, you know, interact with each other, make a game plan, like help each other through the process. And that was my biggest takeaway was like sometimes I have to remind myself that like we're making content, but like so many people watch it and so many people absorb like sometimes the littlest things that I would never think. But you were just, I was grateful for you to be there to kind of remind me of like how blessed we were and how blessed I am as an individual to have like such strong friendships around me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I sometimes forget that other people may not have that. And I think Jordan nailed it at the end when he talked about, you know, finding what do you call it? What did he say? Finding your group. What word did he use? Your
Yeah, I
tribe.
don't. Yeah, the tribe.
Find your tribe. He's like, you know, sometimes it doesn't seem like they're out there, but if you're looking and you wait long enough, like you'll find and you'll build your tribe. So honestly, my biggest takeaway was just some of the stuff that you shared with us and recognizing our friendship and recognize and appreciating how cool you thought it was when in my world that's just the norm, you know. It's like
Yeah.
all the time.
Yep. No, I
So
mean, and
it
mhm.
kind of just yeah, it kind of hit me just like, you know, not everybody all the time has like these amazing friends I have or have found their tribe, or they might be in a low spot in a dark spot in life. And so just to hear your perspective on how cool you thought our friendship was, like that was the biggest takeaway for me.
Awesome. Yeah, no, and I mean, I'll tell you, Charles, him and I have been friends for over 22 years, you know, starting out in middle school and then high school and everything. And, you know, there's always times in life you're going to drift apart from people, but for him and I, that didn't matter distance wise. I know he'll echo this the same. You know, it's just been he's always been someone that I could lean on in my worst moments and the lowest points, hopefully the lowest points of my life going forward. And he always seems to help me and just kind of give me tools that I need to keep my head above water. And yeah, I mean, watching even just Jordan, helping you guys process life situations and you guys talking things out. I just remember the first night, hanging out with you guys, it was just like, holy cow, this is truly brotherhood. It's not, it's so beyond a level of friendship that, like you said, most people don't get to experience. And I truly am thankful for that entire hunt. But also just the moments that truly we all take for granted at some point. It's not purposefully, it's not maliciously, but we get so caught up in direction of life, and it definitely is nice to see that realness from people. I think so many people, through social media, have you guys on this amazing pedestal of just an absolute monster shed hunter and hunter, and no matter what, we all are human. And I love that fact that you and Jordan still had just this real raw attribute to you both. And yeah, it was absolutely stellar for me to be there for that.
Yeah, it was definitely a special hunt to have you there. And I remember you offered to help. You're chatting with Matty Ice throughout the hunt, offering to help Glass, and putting yourself out there, being vulnerable and stuff, and coming up not only to do something that wouldn't necessarily benefit you, like you offered to come Glass for me and help on the hunt. It was a unit that you'd spent some time in, and that led to like, hey, let's meet up real quick, which was like, dude, I don't want you going out to your car to sleep on the mountain. It's freezing. Crash on the why don't you just crash on the couch? We had this nice Airbnb condo. So suddenly Nick's just like thrown into the storyline, and that's just the way it went. That's the way it was. And that's just who we are. If I would offer that to anybody,
Yep. No, you guys definitely, you guys definitely are about it. That's for sure. And again, what you guys have done for the hunting industry and bringing so much more of a community together rather than it just being individual success is just, it just blows my mind every time. The following that you guys create and the people and the stories that they then share with you, and all the responses you guys do constantly. I mean, you guys are fully into the community aspect of the hunting world. It's just, like I said, it's just great to watch and process, and it gave me so much outlook going forward. So I still thank you, man. And thank you. Just will never be enough, bro.
No, I love that hunt. I loved having you there and just seeing you smirking behind us sometimes, and just like see you just soaking it in. And you're someone who grinds on the mountain. You're someone who appreciates all the little things. So it was definitely a nice addition to the group, and it made it even more special having you there.
I appreciate that big time. I know there's one thing that, obviously there's always there's a negative side to people, and I've read some of the comments and stuff like that, and it's unfortunate that people have such a negative outlook on that situation, but that's another thing that I appreciate is how you guys tell your story. From I've been, since I'm working at home now, I'm just binge watching all the old Hush videos and Born and Raised videos and everything like crazy, and it's just like from start to finish, you guys showed times where there wasn't quote unquote successful hunts as far as coming out with meat, or there was archery shots that may have been difficult, and you constantly are like just grind and grind and grind, and if there's an opportunity to get back on a bull that maybe wasn't the best shot, you do it. And I think it was one of your Idaho hunts, and you ended up, I think it was like 2 or 3 days later, you ended up getting that bull. And I mean, the fire bull is again proof of that. Like, there's just so much fire inside of you, so much drive, and that's what makes all of us just want to feel that same energy going out in the woods in general. But I think that's too can be transferred over into life if people have this drive and this motive in their head of they're going to accomplish something and they're going to do whatever it takes, whatever sacrifices need be done to get there, they truly can.
Mm-hmm.
But I know Charles has a few questions for you as well. And then, but I do just want to touch on your Hawaii hunt. I know you got your first hard-horned axis deer, right?
Yep. Yeah. And that
Yeah.
was another one where it doesn't go perfect, right? It doesn't go as planned. And going back to kind of the comments you made about sharing our content in a way that's relatable, like that was our goal when we started. I mean, coming from TV, cable TV, and hunting TV shows, they were kind of all cookie cutter, and it made every hunter show on there seem like you just shoot them and you get them, and it's perfect
Yep.
every single time, you know. So we learned early on that when we shared content that was quote unquote relatable, people appreciated it because now they can go, oh, they're not perfect. Oh, they missed shots too in the heat of the moment. Oh, they put a bad hit, you know, on an elk or a deer, and they actually shared it. You know, we knew that that would come with criticism, but man, for any of us who have been out there enough, we know that it's not all, I call it, it's not all butterflies and rainbows, you know. So
Yep.
I'm not trying to be Hollywood. I don't want my content to come off as just like too super polished and everything's perfect and I do one shot kills every single time, because that's just simply not the truth. And that's
Yeah.
not something I couldn't live like that. And so it sucks when people kind of make assumptions on our content, because I'm like,
Yep.
dude, you like I don't make, this is how I look at it anyways. I don't make films, I create content. Like I document and share.
Yep.
Like the difference is like someone, and you know, our camera guys are getting a little better about like, okay, we have to kind of know what we're filming for and what the storyline is and what the point is. But for me personally, I'm just like, dude, I just film whatever happens and I just document and share, you know. And I think it's come across well, and I think that's a big reason why the community is trusts us and is loyal, you know, and such a loyal fan base is they appreciate the realness of our content.
Oh, 100%. You know, and I had a rough. We ended up shooting the 4 cows at the end of last year over Thanksgiving. You know, 4 cows in 24 hours. Awesome. Huge shout out to all the guys that were on that trip. But you know, speaking as far as the elk that I took, the cow, it was definitely a little bit longer of a shot than I'm used to. You know, but she went down hard right away. Unfortunately, it was a little high. But you know, we did our best, got in there quick, and you know, had to finish her off. Unfortunately, the oak brush was just too tall to get another shot from where we were. But like you said, it's never perfect, and anyone
Yeah,
that wants to try to pretend and act like that's the case is not only lying to other people, but they're lying to themselves.
for sure. I don't know if like you said, they're just looking for something to pick you apart, or if they just haven't been in the field long enough. Because if you ask the guys who have been in there long enough, which I believe are guides have a good, they know because they do tens, 20s, 30 hunts in a season, and they get to
Mhm.
see everything, and they're the first to tell you, oh, we've been through some rodeos, right? Like
Yep.
it's not the way you plan. No one goes out in the woods with intent to hit an animal bad or not recover an animal. That's the worst. Nobody does that. But anyways, yeah, that kind of is how, unfortunately, how the Hawaii hunt ended. I did get my first axis deer hard antler with a bow. So I've shot a velvet buck, but this was my first hard antler one. So it kind of meant a lot. And
Yeah.
it was special because, you know, I got some permission on this little piece, and it's what they call a gulch there. And a gulch is like what we would call like a small draw
Okay.
or a canyon, but they call them gulches because basically the mountainside may be like a downhill slope, but suddenly there'll be a gulch, and the gulch is where the water will run during the big rainstorms.
Mm.
So it's not like they're running springs like we have in our mountains. It's more just like it's where everything washes down. So like there could be farm fields or houses, and then suddenly a gulch. Like so it's almost like going down. Like if the land is available to browse for cattle or build a house, the gulch is underneath that. You know what I mean? Kind
Yeah.
of like coming off of like a mesa top, I guess.
Okay.
So anyways, I'm hunting this gulch, dude. I watch these axis deer. They're so funny out there. Axis deer are not native to Hawaii, but in Hawaii they have no predators. So there's not a gray fox, a coyote, nothing. So in some ways they're kind of dumb. That might not be the right word, but they're very skittish. Like it's just funny. You can seem to get close to them fairly easily, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
So the night before, I saw these deer cross this gulch, and I just took note of the main trail, and I sat it the rest of the night. I really like to ambush hunt with my bow. Like spot and stalk is always fun, but something about an ambush or a tree stand where you're sitting and suddenly they're within bow range. You know, you
Yep.
don't get to see them from like 200 yards coming down or like a spot and stalk. It's like you're sitting there kind of bored out of your mind, and suddenly you hear or look up, and bam, there's an axis deer. So the next morning, I sat that trail, and sure enough, one snuck up the creek bed right across from me. I couldn't see him because he was in like 15 feet tall bushes and grass. And as soon as he came out to the crossing that I had been sitting, I drew back, settled on him. It was kind of dark in my peep. The gulch is still dark. Like, you know how you can be like, go out in a wide open field and you can see really good, but if you go in the dark timber, it's dark.
Oh yeah.
That's how the gulch was. So, like, I could see him clear as day with my eyes, but as I look in the peep, it just shuts down like your amount of light you're bringing in. And I'm like, oh, is he still there? And I pull my head off my anchor and I put my head back in my peep. And I'm like, yep, that's him. And just squells one off 25 yards, dude. Like, felt like I smoked him, heard the thud. And he ran off. And I was kind of waiting for the crash because he did go uphill on the side of the gulch. And it's a lot of sticks and debris. So I was like, if he tumbles, like, I'm going to hear a crash. And unfortunately, I never heard that. So I was kind of like, that's not good.
Yep.
I waited for Martin to come up. I was out there with Martin Shag, and we were both bow hunting the same area. So I gave him a text and I was like, "Hey, if you want to help recover my buck, which if you got help, take it, man, because any chance that you're tracking potentially even to recover a dead animal or even track what could possibly be a live animal, sometimes it's like they see something you don't, or they look ahead and see that antler tip. It could be the big difference of, closing that deal or not. So I waited for Martin. We gave it a little over an hour. And that's another thing you're battling out there. It's 80, 85 degrees, 90
Yep.
maybe. You don't have much time to recover the meat. So you really can't like just sit around and give
Yeah.
him 5 hours. So either A, you're going to give him 5 hours, ruin the meat, and maybe find him in his bed, or you're going to push, in hopes that you can recover that meat, which we did, and unfortunately jumped him. I had no clue, man. I just thought that was game over. Like, we jumped him. He's still alive at that point. No blood to follow. You can't follow tracks because there's a billion of the dang things running around. There's so many
Right.
axes. So we backed out, and then the next morning I just figured, obviously I'm not recovering meat, but I'm going to go up higher in the gulch in the direction I saw him and see if he's up there, and never found him. But 2 days later, Martin was in the same area. He was just underneath where I shot. So this buck ran away from me up the creek bed. But when we jumped him, he doubled back and went down underneath where I shot. And dude,
Mm-hmm.
I would have never just like looked there. But Martin actually said he saw an antler and he thought it was a bedded buck, so he was kind of putting the sneaks on it, then realized it was dead.
Oh dang.
So that was my buck. So it didn't get found till like 2.5 days later, which the meat is by far gone. So
Yep.
I didn't get to recover the meat, but I got the closure and got to figure out exactly what happened. And once again, dude, those dang things, they'll double back on you.
Yeah, that's wild. That's just crazy.
Here at Harness Adrenaline, we understand how important hydration is, not only for hiking miles into the backcountry, fly fishing the Colorado River, or while summiting peaks across the nation. That's why we are so excited to tell you about the all-encompassing Grail GeoPress filter and purifier. One press, global purification. Right now, use Adrenaline20 for 20% off of any order. And be sure to check out all the other products available at grail.com.
All right, man. So Eric, obviously, Huge fan, man. Just
Thank
of you
you.
as a person, not even, beyond the life that you've given to the YouTube hunting world, to shed hunting and just the culture in general. But just a huge fan of you. Every time, the few times I've saw you, it's always like a smile and not even a handshake. It's usually like a little bro hug, man. And that's a lot more than, you know, most other people would do. And so I just do appreciate it, man. It just shows how authentic you truly are to Nick's point there. Um, so I had a couple questions here. So you started truly hunting around 20 years old, right?
Yeah, I as a youngster, I was getting into it, and then I saw my dad and my grandpa shoot a cow elk and gut it, and I said, "To hell with all that! Like I'll just." And then I discovered shed hunting, so I chose to look for sheds, and I kind of put the hunting stuff off to the side then.
Yeah, right on. Well, when you started, because if I understand right, you went on an archery hunt by yourself, kind of, and you're like, can't do this, so you ended up doing a rifle hunt. When you started that, were you ever like, man, this can add into my shed content, or this is just gonna be, for meat for working out and your personal fitness? I know that's originally was the initial drive, if I have researched properly.
Yeah, so yeah, you've done a good job of getting down some of the details. You're right. I started rifle hunting. Okay, but so just imagine this young kid thinks hunting is the coolest thing in the world, but can't get himself to be the trigger man, right?
Get
I
that?
didn't want to kill the animal that I love so much. So I truly enjoyed hunting with other people, and I started connecting with other hunters on chat forums years ago, like Monster Muleys, and I would offer to film people's hunts for free. Like, so I love to film hunts, and I love to like go on the hunt. I just at that point chose not to be the hunter. So it was actually through watching hunting TV where I was like, oh, these videos are cool because you shoot the animal with an arrow and it like runs away out of your view most of the time anyways, and then it dies. Like, because
You don't need to see it die.
I didn't want to watch it die, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that just kind of scarred me, I guess, in a way, watching my dad and my grandpa shoot cow elk. So that was the reason why I went to bow hunting. So I worked at the Army Navy store, and I worked at the bow counter, and I did arrows, fletched arrows, cut aluminum arrows, and help people with their bows. And I started shooting an old Browning bow, brass sight pins on it, like probably 4 or 5 of them, just shooting in my backyard a ton. I was like, all right, I'm going to go deer hunting with this thing. Man, I jumped a deer. Just one of those situations as a bow hunter, like a perfect opportunity. Jumped a small 2 point or 3 point, just a small buck. And he bounced off a couple times and stood there broadside. I guess, I'm like, hey, he's 20 or 30 right there. Like, pulled back, had that thing in my sight window, and chose not to let go. So
Yeah.
that was another time where I'm like, all right, yeah, I guess, I was going to try bow hunting, and I guess that's not the option either. But it wasn't until, like you said, later, a little older, a couple more years, I started hitting the gym really, really hard, reading the encyclopedia of bodybuilding, Arnold Schwarzenegger type of stuff. And they talk about eating protein and, dieting like that. And here I was just buying gobs of tilapia and chicken breast at Costco.
Right.
And I'm just like, dude, all these hunters I go with, which I'm still going with other people. I'm like, they have all this meat. I'm like, I think I need to start hunting so I can fill my freezer full of protein. I obviously learned that it was lean, it was, high in protein and super healthy and obviously organic. So that's when I was like, all right, I'll just get a rifle tag and like I'm just going meat hunting.
Save some money too.
Save some money, use dad's old 30-06, like didn't have to
There you go.
invest in anything. Still had the same gear that I was using for shed hunting and everything anyways. And it was my boss at the time, Ben Bateman. I was doing landscaping for him. We did sprinklers and installation, sod and all that. He took me hunting and we all split up and I was by myself walking this little 2-track road back to the truck, and off the side of the road which I'm just talking like tiny. We weren't even up this high on the road. It was so bad. There's a small buck and like a nice 4x5. And dude, I always was like, okay, if I can get a good rest and I can really get a good shot, one shot kill, I'm going to take him. And dude, I squoze the trigger and he dropped in his tracks. And that was my first buck ever.
Then it took off. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. And then I don't know something hit me. Like that's all I wanted to do. And, in Utah, I was lucky enough to maybe get one deer tag a year. I didn't really understand how our elk, like over the counter stuff worked back then. So I started building points. But yeah, it went from like one deer tag a year to, man, sometimes having 8, 9 different type of tags throughout the year now. It's crazy.
That's amazing, that evolution, man. So, and then kind of wanted to get off hunting a little bit just to get into the life of Eric Chesser, right? So like, what made you get in? I know you foster a lot of dogs. What made you? It's kind of a two-part question. What made you get into fostering dogs, and then also, how do you avoid getting overly attached to them? Because I know for me, I love them, man. I would just have to
I
keep
had
them.
no clue. Like I'm an animal lover. Going back to didn't want to kill deer. I had all kinds of pets growing up. We had a small dog. I had boa constrictors, lizards, mice, hamsters, fish, like you name it. I always loved pets. And I did get myself a black lab. I named him Camo. I must have been like probably 20 years old, right about that year that I went hunting.
Nice.
And I didn't understand the responsibility of it. We didn't have like a closed off yard. So unfortunately he was in a, like a dog kennel. I didn't, as much as I hunted back then, I thought he would live this like adventure life. But when back then, like I said, I went shed hunting and had one deer hunt a year. And outside of that, I was a full-time job, so he didn't get out as much as I wanted. And I just felt really bad. So I did find him a home. I rehomed him, and a family had another lab and they wanted a friend for their dog. So it was like a perfect fit. But years later, doing hush, like I still love animals, but I know it's not responsible of me to get a dog because I just travel so much. And then that means he would be not with me. And that also means that like I'd have to dump him on the family or friends or pay for somebody to watch him. So I didn't want to do that either.
Right.
But when I started dating Kate, my girlfriend, she moved all the way from Pennsylvania to Utah to kind of, give this relationship a chance. And she's a dog lover. So how I got a dog was I was in Alaska on a Garmin satellite machine, and she dropped a bomb on me like, hey, I just went to the shelter and I rescued a dog.
How cool is that?
And I'm like, oh, dude, I was so mad, guys. Like, she moved into my house, and here we are a few weeks later. Like, it's already hard enough to suddenly move in with somebody pretty quick. And now we have a dog. I'm in Alaska on a satellite text or whatever. It's just pretty upset. So, anyways, that's how we got the one dog. That's Jade. Love her to death, of course. I think it opened my girlfriend's eyes because when we would talk about getting a dog and I'd tell her, like, I just can't have one because I travel too much, she just kind of took it as like, you're not a dog person.
Right.
I'm like, trust me, if we go to a setting and like someone's got a dog, I'm the first one to bend down to their level and just love on it, kiss on it. Like, especially if it's affectionate towards me, I'm going to get sucked in pretty quick. So she's a dog person. We got Jade, and then she started building relationships and friendships in like the rescue community because we got our dog from a shelter. And before you know it, she's made all these friends who are also into rescue. And one of her girlfriends is like, again, I'm out of town. I'm not present. Her girlfriend texts her like, oh my gosh, there's 8 pit bull puppies in a shopping cart at the thrift store. And this guy's selling them because he said the mom died. So, of course, Kate, my girlfriend, is like, let's buy them all and we'll rescue them. So literally, like, suddenly, without me home, she's got 8 puppies in the backyard.
Dang.
Which, my first response, like, she's super supportive of what I do. Like, it's a lot, man. I travel a lot, and she's home alone, and that's really why she wanted a companion dog. And then, like that's her passion. She supports me in my passion. So my first response was like, 8 dogs, like that sounds like it could be fun, you know, puppies, cool. So I try to support her and her passion. So that's how we originally got those fosters, and then they were surrendered to a rescue. So
Okay.
Kate had them, like they just paid the guy cash, gave him like $400 for 8 of these dogs, and then surrendered them to a rescue. So through that process, Kate took 4 of them. So we fostered the 4. And like you said, man, I did not know. Like it went from like get these puppies like out of my house to like I cried every time one left.
Oh, I bet.
And the last one was just a little longer because the family was in Texas and they just needed us to hold it a little longer. They couldn't logistically they couldn't get it sooner. So this last one was named Doc, and he's sleeping in the bed and he's my boy, and dude, handing him over, bro, like I was crushed. Like I cried for like 4 or 5 days.
That's wild, man. What an awesome story, though. I mean, that's helping all those dogs. You know, you don't know what would have happened to them had you guys not been there, had Kate not been there. So I was just kind of curious. You know, I obviously have a hunting question. This is the last question I have for you, but I just kind of wanted to know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, let me real quick on the dog. So we actually, so the four we had, they named them like the 7 dwarves or whatever, because there was 1 girl and 7 boys. So their names were like Doc, Grumpy, Bashful, and Happy. Those are the ones that we had.
Yeah.
So Happy, we now have Happy back. And I remember one of the times like I was just kind of like sad about it. Kate was like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "It just sucks because not like once we hand them over, like we no longer like have the ability to protect them.
Right.
You know, under our care, like I'm confident that Kate take care of them. We have a good house, like we have good rules, like we train them, they're going to live happy lives. But I'm like, once we hand them over, like I can no longer protect them. And that hurt that you're putting so much trust into these fosters. Now, all the families have been great except one. And I'm not putting blame on them, but one of the puppies, Happy, who we have now, ended up with a broken hip. And, you know, we just never got the details, but they had speculation that one of the daughter's boyfriends kicked him.
Jeez.
So they were being super weird about it, hiding it from their mom. And when the mom saw the dog hobbling around and how much weight and muscle it lost, she's like, something's wrong. Took it to the vet, and they quoted them like thousands of dollars of a surgery, which they couldn't afford. So they surrendered it back to us. And we took Happy. Kate did a fundraiser, and people pitched in, which is super cool. And we were able to pay for the surgery and his physical therapy. And so we have him now, and I think it's safe to say that we'll keep him. But
That's
like
all.
that was she said that to me. She's like, this just sucks because like I remember you saying, like once we give them away, like we no longer can protect them. And
Right.
she's like, this is proof, you know.
I mean, that just goes to show, you know, you said you were kind of in the dumps for a second, and then Happy comes back and just kind of reinvigorates you guys' lives. That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, dogs are cool. Like, you know, again, I never got one because I think that's the right decision with how much I travel and all that. But dude, dogs could like positively change someone's life, like 100%.
Fully
Like,
agree.
there's somebody out there who doesn't know that they need a dog. You know what I mean? Right now,
Yeah.
they don't.
No.
They're in a dark place. They need companionship. They need a purpose. And man, I know there's somebody out there that if they went to the shelter and got like a dog buddy, their life could change drastically for the better.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that better, man. So that's awesome, Eric. And then just the last thing, it's kind of just an ode to you, to be honest with you, which I'm sure you hear all the time, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say it. So does it ever kind of reach your tipping point when people just don't understand your come up? You know, like you were and like are by all means the grandfather of shed hunting, and you could even argue that for the YouTube hunting content trip like world as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's millions of people who are trying to do create hunting content, shed content, simply because of the, what was it, a Sony 8 Handycam. I mean, how cool is that?
It's so cool, man. Like I sometimes see people like laugh or make jokes about maybe a kid who says he wants to be, an influencer. That's such a funny word, but like it does kind of like everyone understands what it means. And I'm just like, dude, that's like telling me as a kid, like, you can't be a professional baseball player. You can't be like Ken Griffey Jr., like
Right.
this is the new era and these kids are looking up to new things and they see new opportunities. And if anything, I'm living proof that it's possible. So it kind of bothers me that some grown adults are giving kids hard times because they want to be a YouTuber. They want to be a social media hunting influencer. I'm like, it's an actual thing. Like, it's pretty cool. They're not like, it's not something they can't do,
Yeah, no, it's amazing, man. I do appreciate everything that you do for the community itself, and also just, and you don't even know that you do it, but just for me, just kind of getting after it really, is inspirational. But Nick, you can close it on out. Eric, I appreciate your time more than anything, sir.
Oh, absolutely. These are fun, man. You know, one thing when you commented like, oh, sometimes you give me bro side hug or whatever, the one thing that kind of struck me when you said that is like a lot of people, I hear a lot of people who want to somehow make like a business and leverage social media or maybe a podcast, but then they complain about it. And like, I'm the opposite of that. Like if I'm a part of the YouTube community, then I'm going to reach out, I'm going to comment, I'm going to engage. If I'm a part of the Instagram hunting community, like I'm going to answer as many DMs as I can. If I see you, like when people are like, dude, I feel like I know you. Like I want people to know that I feel that way of the people I follow.
That's
I'm not
amazing.
above anybody. Like, so it kind of bugs me when you hear like, oh, I hate social media, but I got to use it to like sell my products. I'm like, dude, you're the people who just siphon from the community.
Right.
I want to be the person who like gives to the community. Clearly it's given me so much. It provides this like absolute dream lifestyle that I live. And I'll always do my best to like give back to the community in various ways. And I don't know, if I ever lost that, I wouldn't be stoked about it.
I get that, man.
Yeah, like that wouldn't make sense to me. Like I'm gonna engage on social media. I'm gonna, I see people at the expo and they're excited to see me. I'm excited to see them. I get motivation and inspiration from watching people crush it, watching people get after it. I absorb and take in just as much content as anybody else.
That it's amazing, man. It doesn't go unnoticed for sure.
I appreciate it.
Yep. Nope. Truly, just want to thank you again. And I know I've said this multiple times, but thank you will truly never be enough to me personally for the time that we got to share. Time is the most important thing in this life, and how meaningful that opportunity was to be there with you guys. And like I said, just take in every aspect of it, even outside of the hunting, was truly just perfect for what I needed, for what I was going through. Jordan, huge shout out to him, giving me the chance to process with him and him give his insight on what I was dealing with. And again, low points. And I'm just so grateful for all of you guys, and I'm so grateful that you took the time with us now. And I hope and dream that there's more in the future. I would love to get you out here on a shed hunt. This year has been kind of rough, unfortunately, just the way the winter went out. But I know you're a busy man. Hopefully we can lock something in going forward. And obviously anytime you guys are in Colorado, you can you reach out whenever. Me, I will show up.
Yeah, you guys don't mess around, man. You'll drive through the night just to show up. So I appreciate that about you guys.
Most definitely. And just make sure anyone that listens, I'm sure everyone knows Hush, knows Eric, Casey, BMAC, Jordan and Matt and Logan. I mean, what they do for us as a community just make sure you share the love and appreciation for them going forward. And like I said in the video, make sure to buy their stuff because that's what keeps them going. And truly, Eric, thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you, and just stay in touch, man. We'll let you know what's going on for this year once we figure out the rest of the tags. Second draw ends tomorrow, so hopefully everyone got their stuff in. I know Charles just finished it up before we got on this, and hopefully we got some good hunts coming forward, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate your time and the invite to be on the podcast. I think the podcast is one form of media I would actually like to do more. I just have to be home, have to be in service. So that's the goal.
Yep.
But I enjoy these podcasts. It's crazy how fast time flies when you're just chit-chatting about something you love. So thank you guys.
Of course, man. Absolutely. You be safe, take care, and then, yeah, man, we'll just we'll stay in touch going forward.
All right, we'll catch you guys later.
All right,
Thanks,
guys.
All right, see it.
Elkhorn Coffee Roasters at elkhorncoffeeroasters.com has been our longest sponsorship. If you're like us on the team, finding consistently great coffee is almost as tough as finding that 350-plus class bull. Scott and April have solved this search. Most orders are roasted just after the time of ordering. Go check out their selections, from whole bean to steep bags for your on-the-mountain adventures. Use promo code HA for 15% off orders of $25 or more.
How cool was that, man? Eric's such a good guy. I really appreciate his time and all that. Everyone, go follow all the Hush and stuff. Follow Eric himself. Reach out to him if you have any questions. He's usually pretty good with getting back to you guys. Go to ridgebelts.com. They make a great military-grade silicone belt. It also comes with 2 buckles, a metal one and a plastic one if you're going through any metal detectors or traveling or what have you. Use promo code HA15 for 15% off your purchase. Let them know that you got it from us. Have a great day.
All right, so just want to finish out. Truly can't thank Eric for coming on tonight. It was an absolute honor again to just get an opportunity to relive the moment that I got to share with them, him, Jordan, and Matt. And I truly am still taking pieces from that hunt and using it day to day. Again, it was so much more than the hunt. It was so much about life. It had every aspect of life touched into it. What you're willing to do, Eric's drive and focus and motivation, and how friendship and brotherhood can strengthen not just that bond between each other, but how that can grow and blossom into other people being a part of the hunting community, and understanding the ability to lean on people and how effectively they help you get through certain situations. I touched on it a little bit. Jordan and I, because we broke down his bull together while Matt and Eric did the other 2 bulls pretty much by themselves, we had a long time to talk about things in my life, and he shared a lot about his life and what he's gone through. And that moment alone is more valuable to me than anything that I truly have materialistic in this life. There's time. I always say it, time is the most valuable thing to me, and hopefully to a lot of other people, because we're limited on it. And the fact that Jordan spent that time and was willing to listen to my story and, situation that I've come out of, and just look at me and be like, you're going to do great. You have a lot of potential. It just means a lot to me because Charles knows it. Sometimes I don't see it in myself, and it's difficult to get through, but I'm so blessed with my brothers and my loved ones and people that take that time and literally let me lean on them, so that way I can be a better person and hopefully turn around and do that for them in the future. So just want to thank everyone that's listening to this. I know 99% of you already know who Hush is. You already know who Eric is. But no matter what, throw down the support. Let them know what you think about this podcast. Thank him tremendously for giving me the opportunity to be out there. And we appreciate all the love and support we get. It has been so wonderful. And I hope we continue to grow and continue to encourage people, just as Hush does, just as Eric does, just as Jordan does, to get out in the woods, take part in our public lands, and be a part of conservation going forward. Thank you guys so much. And Charles, you know what's next.
Yep. So, guys, go to harnessadrenaline.com if you have not yet. Check out our page. Give us a like on Instagram, YouTube. It's at Harness Adrenaline, or YouTube Harness Space Adrenaline. So check it out. Nick had said something about time, and one of my favorite quotes of all time, yeah, there's the pun, is from Craig Sager, the late great Craig Sager, the announcer. Time is something that cannot be bought. It cannot be wagered with God, and it is not an endless supply. Time is simply how you live your life, end quote. And so, I mean, that's truly saying, you know, get after it, because you don't have time. Like, time's something that you can't stall for a downfall in your life or anything like that. Any downfall, there's going to be an up after. So just keep getting after it.
That's it. Get after it.
Have a good one, guys.